mynews.studio.
It's a cold desert morning in Dubai. Nearly 200 nations come together and for the first time agree to move away from fossil fuels. The question is, can a collective promise like this actually change the direction of the climate?
Today's date is October 27th, 2025. Let's get right into it. Last year at COP28, almost 200 countries pledged to transition away from fossil fuels. This wasn't just another round of broad statements. This time, a UN climate agreement directly named fossil fuels as the main cause of global warming. Why did it take so long to reach this point?
For a long time, major oil and gas producers pushed back against making fossil fuels the focus. Earlier agreements, before COP28, tended to talk about emissions, but not the actual source. This time, though, the language is clear. Countries are called to move away from fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable way, aiming for net zero by 2050.
Right, but is this agreement actually legally binding?
No, it isn't. That's a really important distinction. The deal sets expectations but doesn't have enforcement behind it. Still, it does require every country to submit stronger climate plans by 2025, with solid emission targets in all sectors. There's also a new global stocktake to measure progress and push countries to do more.
About the stocktake, do you see it as a potential game changer?
Yes, in some ways. It's the first formal system to measure global progress, not just what individual countries promise. The agreement also calls for tripling renewable energy and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. There's a big focus on phasing down coal that isn't paired with carbon capture and ending inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually require a full phase-out of fossil fuels. Could that be a potential loophole?
Definitely. Critics argue that by allowing so-called abated fossil fuels, meaning those where emissions are captured, countries might still keep using oil and gas, as long as there's a plan for carbon capture. Plus, fossil fuel subsidies aren't being banned outright. So, without enforcement, what stops countries from slipping backwards?
That's the challenge. Without legal power behind it, progress will depend on political will and on public pressure. For some countries, think Saudi Arabia, Russia, even the United States, fossil fuels are a huge part of the economy. Moving away too quickly could put jobs, income, and energy security at risk. So how do countries balance climate action with those economic realities?
A lot of governments talk about a just transition. That includes retraining workers, investing in renewables, and building safety nets. The COP28 text points to support for developing countries most at risk, both financial and technological help. But honestly, most national plans still don't get very detailed. Are these commitments actually specific enough to protect workers and communities?
Not really. Most plans are vague about funding, timelines, and what retraining or economic diversification will look like. There is an operational loss and damage fund now, meant to help poorer countries manage climate disasters, but the starting funds are far below what's needed. If money and programs don't actually reach the communities most affected, the transition won't be just at all. So, how do we tell if this agreement is more than just talk?
We'll need to watch how quickly countries update their policies and how ambitious those new plans are by 2025. Look for real increases in renewables, improvements in efficiency, and actual drops in emissions. Also, the speed of clean energy investment and how rapidly the loss and damage fund is used will matter. If countries keep expanding oil, gas, and coal or drag their feet on new policies, that's a warning sign. Given all this, do you think the world can actually deliver?
It's possible, but only if promises turn into action. The geopolitics are complicated, and the economics even more so. But the science is clear. Unless there's a real shift away from fossil fuels, the 1.5-degree target won't be met. The next few years will show us if this is a turning point or a missed opportunity.
This goes beyond policy. It affects economies, jobs, even security. Nearly 200 countries have made a promise. Now, the world is watching to see if they follow through.
That's what we'll keep coming back to, whether these pledges become reality. Thank you for joining us as we unpack this first real global effort to move away from fossil fuels.
Stay tuned as we keep tracking the promises, the progress, and any pushback. Thanks for listening. This episode comes from mynews.studio. Try it out for free.